I,
Okay, hi, I'm Diane Johnson. I'm from the Pueblo League.
nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. It's nice to be here. This is an important issue.
Yeah, it is. Okay, Holly,
Yeah, I'll turn my video on so you can see me. I don't recognize most of you, but yeah, I'm from Boulder County and I was crashing tonight hoping for an update on the concurrence vote since we're about to publish our voter newsletter and wanted to give an update if there was one to be had.
okay,
So I'll be here just probably not the whole meeting though. I've got to run, but
okay.
so thanks.
Yep, I'm glad you're here. It's nice to meet you. Dixie,
I'm Dixie Schmatz with the Larimer League. Was I
Okay.
supposed to say something else? Sorry. Dan, okay.
Kathy,
I'm Kathy Marr. I'm also with the Larimer League.
okay, Tammy,
I'm Tammy Stadnick, and I'm new to the Larimer League.
Kay,
I'm Kay Shaw, and I'm an outlier. No, I'm not with the Larimer League. Anyway, I'm with a Denver unit of Cheeseman, and I've just been interested in this topic for a long time. So when really the Larimer League started it sounded like something I wanted to know more about. So it's been wonderful.
and Sonia.
I'm Sonia Ketting and I'm with Larimer League, have been for a while, and I am most involved with the Observer Corps. So if you hear news about the Observer Corps, I am, the wizard stoking the pumps behind there. And Kate, I gotta ask, Denver Cheeseman, is that like do we have subsets of Denver League? Did I miss it?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
And I can't tell you how many. I know at least 5, but I don't know how many others. I mean, I don't know the exact number in Denver of the subsets of it.
So it's kind of neighborhood leagues within Denver. Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
And Diana.
From Larimer County, originally from Montezuma County. I bring a rural approach to this, and I have a background in newspaper reporting and editing.
And Joy's here. Joy, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Jory Kramer. I live in Fort Collins and I'm a member of the Larimer League.
Okay. All right. So let me share my screen and maybe there's the moon there. Okay. There's the agenda. So the first thing, Holly, there's your issue that you wanted to talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is the concurrence. So I have to say that I can't publicly announce the results of the concurrence yet because I have to have approval from the board of directors, and they're meeting tonight at 5:30 or 6:30 or something like that. So I just don't know. We can't publicly say anything. So Holly, I'll let you know. I can send you an email if you want to put your email address in the chat. I'll let you know as soon as I know what the results are. I mean,
Would that be tonight? Will that be tonight, or do you know?
Well, tonight or tomorrow. And it's not that I don't know what the results are. It passed. I mean, by about 70%. I've about 65% attendance from local leagues and 70% of members voting. And we had to have a majority of local leagues and members. So it passed, but I can't publicly announce it yet. So it's just within this group for now.
And I think the thing to remember is it passed but when you say 60%, the only reason it's 60% is because the rest didn't turn in a vote. I think we had very few people that voted no, like 3 people of the whole group, wasn't it, or something?
The there were two people who voted no on everything they had to vote for in the because apparently Jefferson County had another concurrence on a local position, and those two people voted no on everything and gave no reason why. And then one person in Montezuma County voted no, and I asked why, and the answer I got was that she's very conservative and does not believe that government should interfere in business in any way. And that's why she voted no on the position.
But
So,
everybody else was a positive, so.
yeah, it was pretty overwhelmingly positive, I think. So I felt pretty good about it. So, the one thing I want to do though is to get your suggestions if you have any other ideas for how to announce. And I was going to, oh, okay. Tammy must okay, I was going to guess that we send something through Karen Sheik that thanks all the leagues who did participate and support news access and literacy. And then also in the same email say, you know, program planning is coming up. It's just around the corner. And this in 2024, I do believe the focus of the program planning is going to be national issues. You know, when they ask you if you have any changes to recommend or anything like that. And so, and they asked league leaders to send, fill out a survey of what your league thought was important. And I was going to ask our local leagues to please consider emphasizing local news and news literacy for 2024. And then I thought we could also, we have that Google group. And for those of you who are not part of the Google group, if you'd like to be part of the Google group, we don't send out a ton of emails, not very often. It might be more active in the coming year with the convention coming up, but if you want to be part of the Google group, please put your email in the chat, and so I'll have it. But we could post in that we concurred with the Washington position in the Google group, and then suggest to other members who are reading that you too can do that with your league. You know, you can concur with this position. And then Sonia and I go to the Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition board meetings. Well, Sonia goes more often than I do. I've been kind of here and there, but I thought I'd go to the next one and announce that we have a position. And I was going to suggest that Corey Hutchins might want to put it in his newsletter. I just send him a little line and he could put it in his newsletter. So do you guys have any other ideas for announcing? Have I missed something where we should go? You know, I'm sure it'll be in the league publications and stuff. I think, you know, the newsletter, the voter and stuff, but I can ask Beth and make sure. But do you have any other suggestions? Any place else we should let people know, Jory?
Do you want to put something on social media, Facebook?
Yeah, as soon as I get the okay. I mean, I
Okay,
think that would be fine.
alrighty.
So what I'll do is when I have an okay, I'll let everybody know so you can. Sonia, were you thinking something?
Steve Waldman, he wants to know.
Okay. Do you have a connection with him?
Well, I've got his email, but I think you do too. But I spoke to him. He attended in person at that media event at the Buell Center in September, I think it was. And I told him we were working on this, and he's like, "Oh, that's great. If you get a position, then let me know," because he's national now. And he says his current work, because he kind of shifted over, he says it's actually more important for the local news component. And so he has his eye on legislation nationally, and he would like to know which league states are adopting this, and of course, you know, be availed of when it would become national, and that's down the road, but he's watching. He's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking too, this just occurred to me because I get this newsletter from the Seattle Times, something about saving local journalism, or I can't remember what it was called, but the reason I found out about Washington passing their local news position was it was in that newsletter. And so maybe I could put it in that newsletter too. I mean, it just, why not? You
Yeah.
know, get them all.
Mhm. And I think, Linda, I sent you some information. I had the opportunity to attend the University of Denver's Democracy Summit in October on the 26th. And one of the sessions was the critical role of local media in democracy. And they had 3 of the speakers. One of them was Corey Hutchinson. Isn't that who y'all were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, Corey was one of them. Another one was Elizabeth Hanson Shapiro, who's CEO and co-founder of the National Trust for Local News. And then the other person that was there for another session was Melissa Milos Davis, and she is the Strategic Communications and Information Officer with the Gates Foundation. They are working on it's called Strategic Communications and Informed Communities, Gates Foundation Fund. So you might, if I don't have all of their email addresses, one of you has Corey's. I do have the one for Melissa. I think I sent that to you, but if not, I'll be happy to send that to you. And then I'll try to look up the one for Elizabeth. I didn't ask her the time, and I should have. I asked all of them to attend one of our 2 sessions. I was hoping one would, but it didn't work out that way. But both of them are very interested because they would love to see Colorado develop something that would then help push forward the legislature, you know, as what happened when we had our session with just us. One of the, you know, the session we did before we did the 2 introduction ones, where we had the 2 speakers. Both of those gentlemen, you know, kind of felt like were they the only people doing things, and now they can see that they aren't, and maybe both of them should also be included. You know, so I think just as many people as, you know, once you get a statement going, then just we should try to get it to everybody, you know.
Okay. So, Sonia?
I wanted to mention to Kay that we know Melissa pretty well. So Gates Foundation
good.
sponsored the Observer Corps, and we've spoken and worked with her quite a bit. So she, you know, knows me first name, and Linda too, really. So that's good. We are connected there.
Okay.
And I
And
wanted
Corey, you know, Corey's the other one. So the only
Yeah.
third one I had that's there were 2 from all over the United States, but one other one, Elizabeth Hanson Shapiro, and I don't know her with the National Trust for Local News. That's the only one I don't know address.
I don't know her. I wanted to ask Linda, do you think that State League will maybe write a press release and then you can share that to your email? I mean, I'm just wondering because it's or will the press release come from you and State will approve it? Because that's what I see this being. It's like there's a press release saying that Colorado League has yada yada, and then you send it off.
Yeah, I wasn't really clear because I've asked Beth a couple of times, and I just told her I wanted to put it in Corey's newsletter. I didn't have all these other ones lined up, or they weren't in my brain. So maybe now that we have a list, maybe they should be, maybe it should be more like a press release. So I'll run it by Beth, okay?
Or the communications director, Katina, what's her
Yeah.
name? Yeah, she's
Katina.
doing it, yeah.
Well, if you run it by Katina, you usually copy Beth too. So I'll just,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Joy's gonna post on Facebook, right, Joy?
Yeah, I can use the press release if that comes through. That would be helpful. And I'll get a
Okay.
cute graphic with it or you know what I mean. I'll get a good graphic with it and
Okay.
use that for the verbiage.
Okay, and then what I send out in the Google group, I'll make it a little more detailed, because that's just for league. That's not, that's not a press release, so it could be a little more detailed. And then I do go to the digital democracy meetings every once in a while with Maine, their planning meetings. And I thought I'd try to go tomorrow and let them know about that we pass the position, okay? So we've got a list of people and so the idea is we're gonna do a press release type thing and ask somebody to send these out that way, and we'll see what they say. They may come back and say, no, you guys do it. Diane?
I was just wondering, there are still some little local newspapers around. We have one here. It's not a very good one, but we at least have one. And I was wondering about making sure that a news release gets out to any little local newspaper that's still around. I mean, since I'm sorry, you guys.
That's okay. I can barely hear it. It's not bothering me.
Oh, good. I'm so sorry. Anyway, but I would think, our little chieftain down here should have a news release. I would think any in Colorado small newspaper would be happy to have this. Hopefully they would publish it. And so when you talk about news release, I'm not just sure who you're talking about sending it out to, but I would think that all of these small newspapers that we are supporting should have this to print if they care to.
Okay.
And maybe even the Denver Post, maybe, I mean, it is news.
It is news.
And the Sun, and there's a lot of places that might.
And that may be why we want to, when we talk to send it to Corey, do his a little different, just because of he is connected with so many of the Colorado media projects, and they're a subset of a lot of local, and ask that he specifically make sure that every one of them that they're with gets it published, because I think it would be such good news for them.
Right. Okay. All right. That's a good idea. Yeah, all these are good ideas, by the way. So I'm glad I said, what do you guys think? Okay, so we're gonna press release and a Facebook thing both be patterned off the press release, and I'll do Google group. And is there any, and then when we go to the meeting, the Colorado Freedom of Information meeting, we can let them know. Any other suggestions of how we should publicize that the concurrence, that we have a local news position now?
Okay, I always have an idea, Linda.
Yeah, that's what I worry about sometimes.
If you've got this press release and it exists on our website, then it's available as a PDF for anybody who might want it. And so any of us can send people to it, or can do our own, to our own local paper, say, hey, did you know? And it can come from us personally. I mean, once a press release is out there, it can have legs to go wherever anybody would want to send it. And this team could do that. Diane was talking about her paper, like, rather than making it a giant group serve, sometimes it's better when it comes from a constituent saying, hey, did you know? And sends it to places where we're not even thinking of right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. That sounds like a good idea. We could just put it in the documents folder, and members can go in and get it and send it to their destination. Okay. I'll ask if that's okay. Okay.
One more thing, it does have a section in there on student journalists. We might even think about, like, does CSU even have a journalism program anymore or anything like that? That would be another place.
Martine.
I could send that one because I'm in touch with one of their professors.
Yeah, I mean.
Why not?
Yeah, it's a great
okay.
idea.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so did I? Okay, wait a minute. I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay. So we've got point 1 covered. Okay, Sonia, you're on. Sonia's gonna talk about Colorado citizen observers.
Yeah. So I've shortened the acronym to COCO because that's easy to remember. And our website ends, well, CO is for citizen observers, but it's then .co for Colorado. So anyhow, COCO is out there. We are still steaming along. It's going pretty well. State has signaled their intent to take it, but there's been no announcement of funds or a new hire for the project.
Sonia,
Oh,
maybe,
yes.
maybe explain a little bit about, just briefly, the background, because I don't think Tammy or maybe Diane don't know the specifics, or Holly either.
Okay.
A little.
So Observer Corps has been a long-standing league project where people could go to meetings, public meetings, and then turn the reports into the administrative team of their league. And in conversations with Melissa Kay, who we mentioned, we were bantering ideas, and I said, well, what if we could make League's Observer Corps public facing, if that would help journalism? And she loved the idea. And so we hatched this plan. Gates Foundation funded it, and the grant went to Larimer League because State League doesn't have like members that would observe, and they don't have a jurisdiction really. So Larimer League is the biggest league, and we got the project, and we've been in this for just a little over a year now. It's run on longer than we would have thought. And part of that reason, probably the main reason, is the program director we had, she changed things a bit, and she didn't buy equipment. We didn't get as many observers as we thought, and we cannot report out the final result of this until all funds are spent. So luckily, I still have funds to pay observers, and we are paying several. Now, some league members just want to volunteer, and that's fine, but it's a more rigorous job than just a casual report, because we want these to be good enough that the news media might take a look, and that the governments themselves could take a look. We're archiving information about these public meetings that hasn't been done before. And so I'm in the role of editor, and we have a hired person who is the poster, I can't think of the right word of it, but she's our computer jock, and she navigates everything on the website, including when I've edited the reports, she posts them, and they are attached to video if it's available. We encourage groups to video, give recordings of their meetings. It helps us a lot. And there's pieces of this that we hope State League will begin to promote to local leagues, where they could enter the project at various levels. Like they might be too small or not have people interested to attend meetings. However, many of these meetings have minutes already posted online, and they have recordings, and we could go that direction. But even if not that, there's a whole freedom of information piece of it, which Jeff Roberts and that organization that Linda mentioned has been very helpful in encouraging us, because they would like to see, eventually, potentially legislation that our new position might apply to, where governments are required to record their meetings and post them, because they were all doing it during pandemic anyways. And so it's not hard to do, and it is transparent to do so. And we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to capture these meetings that weren't recording. And then it was Jeff of Colorado Freedom of Information who said, wait, why is some, little nonprofit trying to do what should just be law? Like, why is it on us to do this? So that's kind of another piece that maybe local leagues would pony up to involve their league in a friendly relationship, just short of pressure to their governments to do this. So it's a lot of relationship building with governments, with local media. And if you go all the way, it's getting observers who could hopefully be paid, because that does help the DEI component of the project. though it's okay to volunteer too, we decided, and observers to report, and then an editor to see the news that's coming in. And my hope is that there would be local editors, because I know my community well enough that as the reports come in, I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening in Timnath? Because they just said at the county level, you know, like there's intersections that are discoverable by somebody who's reading the reports. And we need to see the gifts that that can give. And that's further down the road, and probably a good reason why the project has extended on for the sake of the nice budget that Gates gave us. So I'll just quit there. Does that help?
Yeah, sort of. I just keep thinking I'm the only observer we've got down here, and I do city council meetings, and I could have gotten paid for this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, really, but
yeah, I mean, it's a nice incentive, and it matters when we want you to get the report out soon before the next meeting happens. But if you're a volunteer and, you know, your family comes to visit, it's like, well, or not, you know. But if you're on board with even just a small, you know, an extra 40, 50 bucks, that it's just your fund that I think can bring more people to the project. So yes, and I've heard from other leagues across the nation say, oh my gosh, you're paying? If I knew we could pay, I could get so many observers. And it's 18 bucks an hour is what we're working on. And that would include some of the training time. I host meetings every other week so that the observers, not required, but can come together on a Zoom call and talk about what they're learning. And I can talk about any changes we're making. So that's what this is. But I bring it up tonight because I'm NAL at one point determined, I mean, from the beginning, this came from NAL, and then it was reaffirmed that the Observer Project would be part of this push to help journalism through the league. And I've been juggling plates on this project a while, and I think it's coming to a time where, as state takes it over, that I not be the only spokesperson, and that you all know what's going on with it, so that nobody can say, well, you know, Sonia's overstepped. And to participate, the ways that I could see, one would be, I have a Google Doc that I have made about ways that local leagues could advance. And it's gonna need, you know, some input. I could open that to anybody who might be interested in the future look of that. We also have a Substack account. We have to get the news read. Like, it's all kind of stupid if no one's looking at it, right? I mean, I could know all this information, but if nobody ever acts on the news, then not much is coming of it, which is kind of how I was feeling about the old Observer Corps. If these notes aren't going anywhere, then, you know, we've got things we can do with our time, but we want to make good use of it. So if you all would subscribe to either the Substack, which means those reports would come to your email inbox, or if you don't want to go the Substack route, you can just go look at the website. All the reports are there and see the news that's coming in. And then you'd be able to comment on if you think we should change how we do the reports somehow, or if you see a piece of news that's like, oh my gosh, I have an activist friend who would love to know that this went down. Because you know, we have a lot of meetings in Larimer. We're just covering a kind of a spattering of them, but neat stuff is coming out, and I'm not going to be able to push it to all the directions that it needs to be. Plus, I'm just one person. I mean, my connections of groups in Larimer that would be interested in this news is just from my perspective. And I hope that the project brings in people that have all kinds of perspectives. And a good point is that this observers don't have to be league members. We determined that they don't have to be league members because we have to pay for that membership if we offer it to them. And honestly, like our program manager, she never did a thing with her membership. So why would we? If you just want to observe and that's what you want to do, as long as you pass our training, you know, we have a threshold to keep us from getting some, I don't know, some infiltrator from the Proud Boys who wants to wreck us up or something, but because that's out there, that which somebody else mentioned a thing, it made me think, well, you know, there's people that are under the have been told to try to infiltrate league and mess us up, which it was when you were talking, Linda, about the people who voted no. I had to wonder, like, did they actually, I mean, are people joining league just to mess with us, to get into meetings because of their league membership, just to be, you know, that, but that's an aside. So I could, you guys continue to talk, or I'll answer questions, but I can send around the links where you can discover the website and the Substack. And if you're interested to read the Google Doc about how we might move forward, especially those of you from other local leagues, it would be helpful for you to comment on that and be ready. I expect if it's not part of Friday's conversation of state league's agenda, that it might come up around program planning or something. I can't say too much. I'm really not in charge of that. All I've seen is the signal that they want to do this. So I want it to be, I want NAL to be unified in understanding what's happening with it. So it doesn't just look like something that Sonia built and stuck on top.
No, well, I think Beth said at the morning concurrence meeting we had, she put something in the chat that says that she's going to announce something about it at the state, what do they call it? Statewide dialogue? Is that what we call it? Excuse me.
I've no idea what she might announce. She hasn't read my emails, and she hasn't read the doc about locals either. So I'm just doing what I can to share as much as I can without, threatening her position.
Okay, well, put it in the chat.
Okay.
And so if you want feedback on this, do you want people just to individually come back with you with their thoughts?
I'll just give them comment access. And so when you're on the doc, you can just click and make a comment to the side and I'll see it.
Okay, and then the Substack, if they read the reports, do you want comments on that? Do you want anything? I mean, you want comments on the Google Doc, but do you want comments on what we're reading in the reports and stuff? I mean, the way it works or something, the access. I mean, you want people to contact you?
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
If you're compelled. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you don't scratch your head and make a comment, but if you're like, well, that could be a lot better, or that's a mistake, or something. Sure.
Yeah, if they have thoughts from their local league or how it would work for them, maybe you want to know that.
Yeah. My vision now, and for those who don't know, I've spent a year in meetings with all of these state level partners, Colorado Press and Colorado Freedom of Information and the Colorado Media Project and the Deliberative Journalism Project. All these people know what we've been up to, and we had a lot of conversation. Beth wasn't in all those meetings, so I don't know how different what she's launching might be. But what I see is that this website we're building, that's all Larimer News now, that as local leagues would want to participate, they would get their own page. They'd be part of this site, but they would be posting reports that are for that region, and they would have their own Substack account. So it would be titled, something about a League Observer Corps per Pueblo or whatever it would be. So that, because nobody wants to get all the reports across the state. Everybody just wants what's for their community. So that's an idea of the direction that I could see.
Okay, we'll put the information in the chat so people can have that, and we'll put it in the minutes too, so everybody can
okay,
input. And does anybody have any questions for Sonia? It's all crystal clear in your mind. Well, it's been quite a project, I think.
Yes. I'm a little tired, but excited about it. So.
Okay.
Okay. No questions? I talked it all out. Did I do that well? There's no questions. All right. Well, thanks for just having awareness. And Jory, we're hoping to work with you. We're thinking about doing a video that we're going to put on Fort Collins Public Media to promote, because if we don't get some traction, I mean, I can't be marketing director too, but I sort of am, you know, in the moment. And if we don't get some traction, well, it's hard to get funders to pony up to something that has a viewership of less than a dozen, you know.
Well, and I still want to work. This is something we don't need to take up meeting time with, so I probably shouldn't even mention it, but I still want to work with you on getting some sort of video component out there as well, whether it's just somebody reading highlights from the reports or whatever. I mean, and that's something that public access stations, as this goes statewide, could do as well. So
Yeah, if we could decide what that looks like, it could be another point on the things that locals have available to do. If it doesn't frighten them, but could be awesome.
Sonia, I'm sure you probably know this, but when I talked to Melissa, she even talked about y'all. So, I mean, that's good to know that someone else out there is talking about it. So, and so as you think of, I know funders and other things, I don't know what's out there, but.
Well, there's a lot of funds. In fact, I'm wishing to hear that state is pursuing some of them, because like if they wouldn't, and Larimer's the only one doing this, then I'll go pursue one. You know, like I think Bohemian would probably pay us to but not my place to jump over state. I'm thinking state can do this, but people in this Colorado Media Project sphere are like, oh my gosh, the money that's out there, everybody's ready to pay to help journalism. So we're hopeful to scoop that up. And I'm glad to hear that Melissa was talking about us, because sometimes I feel forgotten, but she's very busy. So that's good.
Okay, so any other questions, you guys, or can we move on? Sonia, are you good?
I'm good. And I'm just now entering, this is the Substack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you've got it.
Okay, thanks. And I'll put them, if you guys want to receive okay, I think everybody here except for maybe Diane, I don't have your email address. If you put your email in, I'll be sure to send you the minutes from this meeting, so you'll have all this information.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'll put it in right now.
Okay, thanks.
And-
And that includes the chat too, always, just so people know.
Yeah.
If you want me to open this doc about suggestions for local leagues to you, maybe put your email in the chat for me. Because I don't want to just open it to, you know,
Right.
a bunch of people who don't want to look.
If you want access to the Google Doc, to put your name in the chat and put Google Doc after your name, so we'll know.
Yeah, like Diane, I think you might be interested, because if you're observing for another league, this is gonna come your way.
I would love to have that happen. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been sort of stumbling around on my own for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and we have not decided, it would be up to state, I guess, to decide if the old way of observing will still exist. I mean, I would like to see it all go to the new way, but some people are just frightened by it and want to just do the reports like they ever did them and put them in a book somewhere. I don't know why, but that's a decision that you might be like, how to transition from doing the old-fashioned Observer Corps report that's archived to doing this project, you know, what that means. You'd be a good mind for that.
Yeah, I would very much like the information.
okay. Okay. Oh, there's the moon again. Okay. So the next item is, what do we do now? So, these are just suggestions I came up with. We could, and we don't have to make any decisions tonight. We can come back and kind of organize and see what we want to do. But I do know one thing. I went to the Legislative Action Committee training session in early November, and there was one slide that said, when a task force collectively decides to support or oppose a bill, the liaison will present that request to LAC for a vote. And I mean, I think that's one of the purposes of our task force is to follow legislation and weigh in on our opinion. So I think we should make an effort to follow, and we do have somebody here, Kathy, who is on the Legislative Action Committee, and she can alert us if she sees anything, but I think it would be really good for us to weigh in on some of the bills if anything comes up. Something on news access, misinformation and disinformation, or even transparency in government. That seems to be all in our wheelhouse, I think. And then the second thing I thought of was misinformation and disinformation. This is going to be a big election year, and with AI and everything, that misinformation and disinformation is just going to get more. And I think, last election, I had a lot of emails from local leagues wanting to know if we had anything on misinformation and disinformation. And I would direct them to the news literacy page and said, yes, we've got all this stuff with all these tools, but people they aren't really aware. I did get Katina to put at the top, if you go to the Colorado League webpage, the homepage, the landing page now has something about misinformation and disinformation on it. But I'm thinking maybe there's something else we can do. Maybe we can revamp our news literacy page. And I don't know if we can reach out to local leagues or help them have sessions on misinformation and disinformation. Or maybe I know that Chaffee County has already had one. So, but anyway, that's just a thought. And then I was thinking book banning. Maybe we could do something like that, because that to me is disinformation too. And we could do something in collaboration with the education task force. And then there's always to promote the local news position that we just passed, and promote it nationally. But we kind of have to wait for Washington's lead on that. I think they wanted to lead, So do you guys have any other ideas you want to work on or want to put out there so we can think about it? I mean, I'm not saying we decide this tonight, but I think we could put some ideas out if you have any to add. Or you want to just go home and think about adding some. That will work too.
I had just a couple, and it really doesn't change anything. It's stuff we've already done, but I'm just trying to get it out there. One thing was the review that I did of the states that had anything to do with having a focus on media. I thought that one page might, and I'm not sure who's the best person. I updated because I'd switched two states with each other. And so the one you have or that I gave you originally is not the current one. I will should I send it to you, Linda, or who would put that if you wanted to put it somewhere on the. And I just think from the point of view, and we can add anything we want to it, it's more about this is where other states are now based on the information on their website. I'm not saying they're not doing anything, but that's where they are. That's been out there publicly as of last summer, because that's when I put it together last July. So it might also help other people like Washington and Maine and others that are doing something to be able to see that, The other item I had is at one time, Kathy, and I think it was Kathy Wilson and I were talking, and it was about somewhere we need to put something about what we would not know if it weren't for news kind of situation. And I'd like to share, if possible, if you open the screen up, something that I had my brother put together, and I really just wanted the rest of you to look at it. I don't think it's the right answer, but I think we can use it to consider what we might in the end have people add to things so that we could begin to see if we didn't have newspapers, we wouldn't know this, this, and this. And so can I show you that page? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Can you share your screen? And let me go to my, share it with me, and then I'll go to my desktop because it's on my desktop. Let me go over.
Okay, I think you have, okay, okay.
Let's see, where am I
You
over
go
here?
ahead. You go ahead and share. You have to click the Zoom menu to share your page.
Okay, so you tell me where to do it because I'm not the best at this. Okay, so I do the share screen, okay?
Right, yeah.
And let me open this one here, and it's very tiny, but let's see if we can get it opened up. This was just what we roughly put together. We did at the top the date when it came in, who provided at that time, the source. So, for example, one of the articles was from the Reporter Herald. It was where Colorado sued over the environmental, and we can't see under here, but this is talking about. Let me see if I can move it over a little bit. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can make it smaller. Yeah, here. Okay. Remember when the oil company, is it Sun Oil? I'm drawing a blank. The suit that was filed over them, that nothing would have happened if the newspapers hadn't gotten out there and gotten that information, because no one was checking up on the process in our state as far as the Environmental Protection Agency at all. And so that was one example. The second one that's on here is from the Colorado Sun, and it's one about, again, another pollution one that I found recently that I was going to add to the group. There's one about the amount of money recently in dark money that has been in politics in Colorado this last round. And one example was the Denver School Board, which was kind of interesting to know how much dark money was a big part of that. And this was one of those years when they went well over a couple $1 million in ads for the school board. So anyway, I don't know how we want to do that. And I don't know let me pull this down. Let's see, whoop, did I get rid of it now? Then what did I do? Sorry, I'm under something. Watch me. I don't know what I'm doing. That's really good. Let's see. Okay, let me get back off of it and I'll go back to it. Let's see if I can come to.
You probably need to scroll up because you're down on 23 and 24.
Okay, thank you. Anything will help. Okay, let's see if I can go up. Okay. You're right, but I don't know why. Okay, here it is. I see it coming. Okay. Okay, there. And I don't know why that other's at the top. Let me see if I can get this up. Just move it. Yeah, okay, at least get it up there somehow. Okay. Is this something, because I would be happy to have him work on it. He put it together because Kathy and I were talking about it, and he just said, well, I could do it in a Google Docs form, and then it could be so other people could enter. I don't know how. We want to be cautious about being too open, because then, as you said, anybody in the world can add their thing that they feel like was told wrong, that isn't necessarily misinformation, and so I don't know how we want to, and it may not be anything of interest at all. So I'll be quiet and you all tell me what you think.
Well, I think if we want to maintain something like that for the information, I think it would be good as an argument if we ever got to a point where we wanted to convince people that we need a national position. This would be a great starting point. Say, look at all these things we would never know about if we didn't have news reports, newspapers. I don't know about putting it online. I don't know how to maintain it. Maybe we should just have one person in this group, who everybody can contact. I don't know whose document is this? Is this your document, Kay?
Yes, and I'll be happy. Really, my brother developed it because I was just trying to figure out something that we I'm not very good on forms, so I just had him do the form. I was talking to him about the process. And so he just developed the form for me. And I don't mind doing it if people want to send things to me periodically. What I really would like is what would you like in it, so that it's helpful to you. The only reason we put people's names, so if we had to go back and ask them something, that was why. But we may not want to start with that. We may want to start with what the topic is, and then where it showed up and what they were doing. And so that's the things I was just trying to get. I'll be happy to keep it so that other people can add to it.
Okay. The one thing that comes to my mind is how we should have a column that says so it's a problem that we found out about through newspapers, and maybe we have a column what the result was, if there was some kind of legislation, somebody paid attention. I mean, to me, it seems to me that would be
Okay.
important, the result.
Okay.
Anybody else? Do you guys have any thoughts?
I think it's a great idea, and I don't think it really matters what your chart here looks like, as long as the data is there to pull from. You can always rearrange the order in any time you want.
Okay.
So
Right.
whatever works for you is the easiest way to enter it when someone writes something. But I do agree with Linda, it'd be nice to know, but not that you would have to go do that research, but whoever sent it to you could say, and as a result of this, whatever. If they
Okay.
Mhm.
And that would be helpful. And like I said, I'll be happy to make sure it gets entered, and I'll be happy to, but of course I do need the results. So that would be something just for all of us to keep in mind. I think you're exactly right. And we'll add a column for that.
And
I
you might
really
have
like
to
this idea. I really like this idea. I think it's a worthwhile effort that we should contribute to as we can.
I agree.
And maybe when someone sends you the data, you could just, if you email like, thanks, I got it, or whatever, just say, we're now watching for what the results are. If you see, please send that.
Mhm.
Okay. And I can do just a standard form, something that goes, anytime I get one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think maybe after a little bit of time, we could just turn it into a shared Google sheet that people could go directly to and just make their entries. So Kay wouldn't have to be the middleman all the time, but probably need a little bit of time to get the wheels going a little bit first.
Right, and I was thinking, maybe this is something eventually, or not eventually, pretty soon, share with other task forces and say, if you come across something like that you think is appropriate, let us put it on the sheet, or, however
And
we
I think
decide.
that would be a very good example of our task force connecting with other task force, which would be very good, I think, for the league to understand how it's necessary that they all interact with each other.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know who provided the first one. Who is Kay or Tel? I'll have to go back and look and see. It was an article that someone sent to us, and I didn't know if that was someone in our group or if that was the person who wrote the article. And I'll go back and try to find it, but
She's in the environmental action team, and she is the expert on oil and gas topics.
Okay. Thank you.
Is she on the climate emergency task force? Probably, right? Yeah.
I think she is.
Okay.
And she's in Larimer County.
Good. Thank you so much. That'll at least then I'll know as they come in who they're from and so forth. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay. So if you're done, you can.
I'm through sharing, so let me get out of sharing here. Okay.
So I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So at this point, Kay, is it just going to stay with you and have people send things in and then take a look at what we've got and see if it's moving along the way we had it in mind originally, or whether it's become tainted in any way, and if we need to tweak before it goes onto a website or goes into the public? Am I understanding correctly?
Yes, I think you're right. I don't think it's ready for public time yet. Yeah. And I think we need a kind of again, just a caution, not because I don't think anybody out there right now is sabotaging, but we don't know that, so I think it's something that for
Yeah.
some control, but I wanted everybody to know what it was so that you would understand that I wasn't putting it wasn't my information that was on there all the time, it'll be
Okay.
by whoever does it.
Thank you. I think it's a great idea. But basically, you're going to nurse it
Mhm.
until it grows legs.
Right. So Kay, do you want people to have your contact?
Sure. Yes, that's fine. I'll put it on here too right now. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Do we have any other ideas, you guys, for where we're gonna go later? We don't have, like I said, we don't have to decide this, but I kind of think the legislation, following legislation is really important. I think if we can think of some way, some way other than, some way to address misinformation and disinformation, but I'm coming up with a big blanket other than have some kind of meeting, statewide meeting where we show everybody what our website looks like. I just don't, I'm drawing a blank, but I think it's really important, especially this coming year. So if you have, while you're doing all your Christmas things, if all of a sudden a light bulb shines above your head and you go, make a note of it, okay?
Linda, what
Yeah,
about,
Kathy.
there's like this, because of the legislation that was passed, that our state schools had to, they're not forced to teach it, but they're given a resource, and there's a website somewhere that has all the things available to them. Could League serve a role to look through that and to like recommend some things over others, or use some of it and like build that reputation with what our teachers are going to, are
Yeah,
offered to give, or what else they need?
that might be something to collaborate on with the education team, right, Kathy, do you think? I bet Kathy Wilson is here for a 5:30 meeting and we start at
We
4:30
started
today.
already.
Oh, she's gonna be embarrassed. Okay, Kathy Marr, did you have an idea?
No, I just wanted to go back to the suggestion you made about the legislation. And I just wanted to mention that the Legislative Action Committee we don't have a team dedicated to this topic.
Right.
And so it would be helpful if we did designate some people in this task force to sort of keep abreast of that, because when things get on a roll with the General Assembly, each established team is going to be really caught up in just keeping on top of what's happening in their specific areas. So it'd be helpful to have somebody, from the task force keeping an eye on legislation and making sure it gets attention as it comes up. I think Kathy and I would do our best to stay on top of that, but I just, it just piles on very, very rapidly. And so,
Yeah. So are
and you
you
have to move fast. You have to move really fast to be able to have any kind of influence at all. So it would be helpful to designate a couple of people that are going to participate in that.
I think one of the things that was helpful though, is we were part of the stakeholder group the last time with 1121, and that kept us up on on when it was introduced into committee, where I have not heard of any stakeholder group this time around, at all. So whether there's going to be something that comes up, we'll see, but because there's not a lot, it's easy to take care of. So.
okay? So when Kathy Marr, when you say you think a couple of us should be following, does that mean that you think a couple of us should join LAC, or can we follow and bring it to, how do you see that happening? Because I don't know how many people here would want to join LAC.
Yeah, That's not what we're asking, and we didn't advertise this time around for new people. Okay, because we have,
Right, but Kathy had the idea you mean just a couple of people here?
what
to
you
follow?
know, what you want to do is assign somebody as a liaison. And they can contact me or they can contact Kathy if they hear about something coming up. There's not, as far as I know, there is nothing, there's not an identifier in the General Assembly's
Right.
identifiers for legislation. And so, which would make it really easy to see when that's coming up. All we have to do is do a search. But if anybody here, number one, wants to let us know, it's Kathy and I who you would let know. Okay.
That's what all I'm suggesting is, if somebody gets wind of something, and if you're watching what's going on with the General Assembly and you hear of something, you see a bill come up, just to draw our attention to it, because we might be, underwater with with other stuff in our topic. So
Okay, well, I think we can all do that, right? If we see something, we can all bring it to your attention.
yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, so you have your assignments, ladies. Read the newspaper and let us know. Let them know. Okay, that's a good idea, Kathy. And yeah, I know there was more on here.
Don't have it anymore. So, agenda.
Okay, so are we okay if we leave this meeting with the idea that we're gonna do the press release, Facebook, Google group, once I get the okay to publicly announce that we've adopted the position. And then Sonia gave us information on the Citizen Observer Corps, so we can give her our comments. And I'll also announce the concurrence to the to Alaska and Maine tomorrow, and to Washington. And what else did we decide tonight? And then we can come back and talk about what we're going to emphasize. Oh, and we want local leagues to emphasize, to please consider emphasizing local news at their program planning meetings. And we'll come back when we decide to come back, which that is another agenda item, and decide what we're going to do in January. Does that make sense to everybody? Are we good on all those things? And then Kay's list. And we've got a bunch of little projects here. So the LAC to follow legislation, so we can give Kathy a heads up. That sounds.
Are you going to mention about the state putting out a press release? I think that's really important to say that all of the leagues voting are supporting this. And I think that would carry a lot more weight than one individual league.
Right. Yeah, we'll do the press release. I'll talk to Beth first and see how that goes. And then, okay, Kathy?
Are you, I apologize for coming in late. I had 5:30 on my calendar. Oh, well. Are you putting together, or not you, but you as a group, putting together any kind of, I don't know, fact sheet or something to help local leagues use this during their program planning meeting? So what might they do? Something practical, some practical ways that would help them.
Well, the one thing that I thought of is, because this year local leagues are supposed to ask their membership if there is anything they want to see changed in national positions. It's supposed to be the national positions that are emphasized at program planning. And I was going to encourage all local leagues to please add local news and news literacy to their wish list for national. That seems like a no-brainer to me. Just put
Yeah.
that on your list.
Yep.
Okay, so that would be part of, like, we thought we'd do a thank you note to all the local leagues to go out through Karen Sheik, and then in that thank you note, I'll say, and I have one more request. And that will be it. Please emphasize local news and news literacy in our in your program planning.
In that note, are you going to put the press release just so they all have it to figure out how they want to use it also?
Yep, I can do that.
Yeah, I would, because then it can be two-pronged. They can talk about it for the national, but they can also talk about it locally.
Right, and I won't do anything, and I won't do any of this without running it by you guys for comments, so I'll get all the ideas, but first I have to ask Beth if we can do a press release, and then we'll write the press release, and we'll write like a little fact sheet or packet or whatever you want to call it for the local leagues for Karen to send out as well, and I'll put it in Google Group, okay? Okay, all
Yeah.
right. The last thing I want to talk about is, do you guys remember the Trusted Sources documentary? Okay, he has come back, Don Colicino. He has come back with a rough cut of the documentary that his first question was, would you be willing to show this at a screening for community members, is what he was asking. I can't remember how he put it. And I thought, well, no, I'm not, because it's a rough cut and I don't know what it says or anything, so I'm not. And but I did offer to show if it works for him. I mean, he wants a diverse group. Yeah, but to show it, I can show it to Nell, but he wants a diverse group of different ages and ethnicities and economic. And I just said, well, we're all middle-aged, not middle-aged, we're all middle class, retired, white.
Especially Sonia is not middle-aged anymore.
That's right.
So, but would you all be willing, if he was willing to show us on Zoom a rough cut, would you be willing to give him your opinion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second thing is, like, when would you want to do that? Do you want to do that before Christmas, or do you want to wait till after the holidays?
After the holidays.
After.
Okay, I'm just going to tell him that. I'm going to say, sure, we'd be happy to look at it, but everybody is on their fa la 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 way. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, so the next thing is, when do you want to meet next? Because our regular meeting was the day after Christmas and I canceled it.
Thank you.
So, do you want to meet? Do you want to have an interim meeting somewhere in between now and the end of January? Or do you think we could do all the program planning and all the things we want to work on by email? How do you guys feel about it? Do you want a Zoom meeting in December? I'm thinking you don't, because you just said you'd rather. Yeah. So do you want to meet?
Maybe we could set one up for earlier in January before most people are doing program planning. And if we've been able to do it all via email, we don't have to have it. And it just gets canceled. But if, okay, well, we need to do something, we have a date that's sort of set aside.
Okay.
It's just a thought.
We can do that. Sometimes the calendar gets filled with task force meetings and I don't know what will really work. Do you want to set it up now, tentatively?
I can tell you that the second on my calendar here, there's a healthcare task force. If you want to keep it on Tuesday, okay? There's a healthcare task force meeting. The second week is like the pollinator group in Loveland has a, something going at 5 o'clock. Depending on the time, the third week, I don't know when local leagues are gonna have their meeting, you know?
Yeah, I don't either. I think a lot of them don't have it on their calendar yet that I remember seeing.
Right
It's like-
now, I didn't pick up anything on a task force meeting that showed up for Thursday, the 4th. Let me look at national real quick too. Oh, wrong date. Sorry, wrong month here. Come on.
So, our president, Jane, just had me put the program planning meeting on the Larimer County calendar for January 8th. So,
Oh, that's
so
Is
it's
it-
pretty early.
Is it staying there?
So,
Is it
what's
staying?
that?
Because Jane and I had lunch and we were talking about how it's always been pushed to the end of January.
Oh, well, that's the date she gave me. It's on, so
Yeah.
it's on the calendar with
Yeah.
details to be determined at this point. So I was just
Yeah.
thinking we better get going early if it's going to be the 8th.
Right now, I'm going back, I'm looking at the state calendar right now. January 4th is open. That's a Thursday. Oh, right now, nothing's on the 9th.
I didn't see anything on the 16th, but that's kind of late, isn't it? Because I mean, then we'd
Yeah.
be meeting on the 23rd. We want to meet somewhere in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, we could put it down for the 4th if we need it. And then
I like the 4th.
that work for everybody. And then if we don't need it, we there's no reason.
Yeah.
Will it be recorded?
If I remember to push the button.
Because I would love to hear it, but we have a runoff election down here for our mayor, as you all may have heard, and that date is the debate. And League of Voters down here is working with that debate. So, but I can surely catch it up on a recording.
Okay,
Because
okay,
it sounds like that's about the only good date, early.
yeah. I think so, because there's something, well, yeah.
So
Because otherwise,
what time are we thinking? 4:30 again?
yeah, you want to just stick with the 4:30 time?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so January 4th at 4:30 if we need it. And then if our regular meeting is on the calendar for what? The 23rd, okay?
Yeah.
So we'll for sure have that one.
Mhm.
Okay, you guys. Anything else you want to add?
Is it okay if I come back? I mean, I'm not an official member or anything, but
You
do
are
I?
now?
We like your type. It's okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'll be back.
You're an official member.
Thank you. I'll be back.
And remember with with all the task force meetings, the general public can come to them. You know,
Oh,
besides the league members. So yeah, invite people.
good thought. I'll be back. I'll maybe
I
bring
just-
friends.
I just put in chat, Diane, I just have to tell you how much you look like my sister-in-law. So I feel like you have your family.
Oh, really? Oh, that's fun. Thank you.
Okay,
Well, I think since this is our first group meeting, since the whole thing passed and we're a huge success, we should give ourselves a huge hand. We really did
Amen.
come through and make this
Amen.
happen. So, and the whole group here was full part of that, so. And Linda was the fearless leader that got us there.
Yes.
I don't know if I was fearless, but we-
was
Persevered,
It was
you know,
really
you kept going
Yeah.
forward.
I don't like failure.
Excellent.
Okay, all right, you guys. If I don't see you all, well, I'm sure I'm gonna email you, but I won't see you, so I hope you have a really nice Christmas or holiday, however you
Holiday
celebrate
season.
it.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same to everybody.
Holidays.
The next date is what? What is the next date? January the
May
what?
4.
No, I know the 4th, but isn't there an
Yeah,
official?
20,
It's
23rd.
Okay,
23rd,
yeah, whatever.
23rd.
Thank you.
And I'll be sure to send you I'll put you on our email list and you'll get the minutes and everything else we do,
Thank you.
so.
Thank
Okay, all right, thank you, you guys, see you later.
Linda, before everybody leaves, let me just ask a question, just so that Diana will know. Don't we normally meet the 4th Thursday? And because in January it starts so early, that's why the 23rd is the 4th Thursday.
Yeah, it's
And
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
right.
Tuesday.
Fourth
Yeah,
Tuesday.
just so you know, Diane, 4th Tuesday.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
okay. All
Yep.
right.
Thank you. Okay, everybody. See you later.
All right.
Bye. Have a
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you. Bye.